Basically, it's an annual event which they call the Blackdog Ride, was originally founded by a gentleman by the name of Steve Andrews from Busselton in Western Australia. Steve originally lost his mother 18 years ago to suicide, and unbeknown to him at the time, she'd been suffering depression for some years, and it wasn't until after his mother had passed away that Stephen found out that she'd actually suffered depression. Steve was a fellow that in his youth had always dreamed about riding the outskirt of Australia, so back in 2009 he took it on his own bat and got on a motorcycle and circumnavigated Australia by himself, raising awareness. And he was so successful at the time that then became an annual event. And we're now riding for the Blackdog Institute in Sydney, which is a self-funded institute that does research in mental health and depression as part of the University of New South Wales at Randwick.
So what have you been doing on this ride as you've sort of headed through the outback to raise some awareness about the Blackdog Institute?
But basically each rural community that we go through, we've been raising awareness of depression by speaking to people in the street, and most regional centres have had a function in the evening, whether it's put on by Lions or by the Institute ourselves. And it's a very kind of, I imagine, soft approach, but we basically get approached by a community and people say, oh, look, what are you doing? Where are you going? And that gives us an opportunity to approach local people on a face-to-face level and promote mental health. And just the whole ride's basically aimed at taking away the stigma associated with depression. So especially with men that, suffering themselves in quietness and not willing to step up and admit that they need help. And feeling on a personal level being confident enough to actually say, look, I need help or I need to approach somebody. And that's the whole idea of the ride.
Rod, how many of you have been in the group that have just been travelling?
Julie, I'm travelling by myself at the moment, but along the way I've run into groups. Internationally around Australia, we had groups leave every capital city, which included Sydney, Melbourne, Perth in Western Australia, and Darwin. And we all left basically on the same day, which was Sunday week ago, and we travelled to Alice Springs over 5 nights, spending each night on the way in regional centres. We finished in Alice Springs last Friday, just gone by, and it's really, really predominant, especially in the outback centres, that there's a lot of depression out there, but I feel that in the outback centres it's not necessarily local communities have the resources. So when they spot us on the road, they've been really welcoming. The Institute is actually situated in New South Wales. Their main aim is to present over the community in regional Australia, and just making people aware that they have the option available and the information.
Rod, what has inspired you to become involved in this promotion and this road trip?
Julie, I actually suffered depression myself, and I'm currently on medication. Approximately 2 years ago in July, I had a nervous breakdown as I look at it now. I went along to my local GP. He prescribed a antidepressant over the counter with that appointment, which necessarily at the time I don't consider it to have been the right medication for me. I had a pretty rough trot over 2 years and was at my wit's end. It affected my marriage and my relationship with others. My wife, in desperation, contacted this institute, the Blackdog Institute in Sydney, and unbeknown to us at the time, they were coming to Tamworth once a month. I went and had an interview with a Dr. Paul Friend, who came up, and he prescribed a new medication for me with that visit. And within probably 4 days, I woke up one morning and felt completely renewed. My mood and just my energy level overnight was fantastic, and I feel probably the closest I've been to Rod Thompson in the last few months than I've felt for the last couple of years, Julie, and I really recommend this Blackdog Institute. People in rural communities can get online. It's www.blackdoginstitute.org.au. They have a very informative web page. which has a wealth of information for both individuals and professionals in the field. And I encourage anyone that's feeling down at any time to have a look and approach your local GP and just ask for a referral to the Institute, and the Institute will get on board with your local GP and step up and help